Hello and welcome to another episode of Time Extend Revo. My name is Adam Ismail. We got the full crew here today. That's Brend, Andrew, and Paul. And we are breaking from format for the first time in a little bit. The podcast that brought you snowboarding games and running games, and it's supposed to be about racing games, but today we're talking about tennis games because we just figured it would be fun. And none of us know anything about tennis except for Brendan Rorison, Brendan Rorison Steele, who has actually you've played, right? Like you watch and you play, like you are experienced firsthand.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a tennis head, to be honest. It did start with the very series we'll be talking about today, but I genuinely believe tennis is one of the greatest sports of all time, but also I think in video game form it represents what can be the most basic of video games but also the most engrossing of video games. And Virtua Tennis, which we'll be talking about a lot today, I love this series so much, and I'm so excited we're going to talk about it today because it has that sort of energy I guess we associate with the best arcade racing games, in that you can take something that at its core is very simple, but the way that it can be captured in the video game sense is it can be so different, right? You can get those very realistic takes and those very basic takes like Pong, even if you go as far back as that. But Virtua Tennis is definitely one of those ones where I don't know if anybody has a bad thing to say about Virtua Tennis. We'll find out today if any of us four do, of course. But I think this is if we're going to talk about a series which isn't racing games, like Virtua Tennis, as we've kind of referenced it a few times through the pod itself, it's definitely a series which is going to be pretty fun to talk about. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah. What's how about you, Paul? What's your experience with Virtua Tennis? And we'll also be talking about Smash Court today too, which is some uncharted water for myself personally. But yeah, where do you start with this?
Absolutely. So weirdly, there was one arcade that had Rave Racer, and there was and that same arcade had Virtua Tennis arcade machine. So it was around. Obviously, Rave Racer was a few years old when that came out, but that was the only times I've ever seen either of those machines in an arcade, and they were literally next to each other in a university arcade, Warwick University arcade, I think it was in fact, or the Warwick University pub, which we used to go drinking in. So we should play it there, but not a massive amount. But obviously, the main part of it was I'm holding up my US Dreamcast version. I don't know how I have the US one, but so I played it obviously a hell of a lot on the Dreamcast.
Yeah,
single player and multiplayer and stuff is amazing. But yeah, as we were talking about, but yeah.
Hell yeah. And Andrew, what about you?
I came to get power smashed. Which is to say that I did a little bit of
a deep dive
research, some genre exploration. Took my usual ankle deep ocean approach. Took a lot of notes here for 46 video games.
Wait, what?
Wow.
That's not possible. We're talking about Virtua Tennis.
All right.
I heard tennis. I don't know.
There's only four of them. Plus some bits.
Some bits.
We'll get there. It's fine.
Wow.
You shouldn't be surprised at this point. Really shouldn't. I really just feel bad for those of you in the UK where it's 11.
Yeah, we talked about this in a short podcast. We said this is going to be a shorter podcast tonight.
Yeah, I 100% did not expect anyone to play or care about like any of these, but I've already committed to the bit, so I was going to just run through them all in the list, and say like 5 to 7 words, and then move on.
I will say there is one sicko port of Virtua Tennis that I hope you have information on, and
yep.
I won't go there. Okay, cool.
There's a sealed copy of it right in front of me.
You have a real copy of it?
Of course I do. Are you new here?
Oh, that's incredible.
We'll get there.
I don't know whether I'm more amazed that you have a sealed copy of that game or that you have the hardware to play it on, but yeah,
look,
we'll get there.
Life is a series of decisions.
Do you side call on that?
All right. So
some people will have any idea what side calling is, which is amazing.
Oh, well,
before the iPhone, there was other phones, and they did weird shit before they'd figured it out.
I thought we'd all decided now that smartphones were invented in 2007. There definitely weren't any for years and years before that. Anyway.
Oh my God.
Man.
All right. So I feel like it makes the most sense to start with Virtua Tennis, even though, I mean, this show is going to be focused around, aside from the other 40 games that Andrew brought, but Virtua Tennis and Smash Court, which is Sega and Namco, which I think I'm realizing the thing about Time Extend is that at the end of the day, if Sega did something and Namco did the same thing, then that's an episode that we'll do. Yeah. And so that was, of course, their competing tennis franchises. Smash Court started first on the PlayStation 1, but I think a lot of us hold Virtua Tennis in higher regard or started with it. I certainly do. I took notes on Smash Court just because I wasn't familiar with it, whereas like Virtua Tennis 3 is like in my blood, as I know it is also in Bren's. And so, yeah, this... it was really fun going back and playing these games, and there's no better experience doing a show like this than when you pick up an old game to play and then without realizing you've been playing it for 2 hours. And that's exactly the experience I had with Virtua Tennis 1 on the Dreamcast. Like, I remember when that game came out. I remember my older brother playing it. I remember watching him like try in AC arcade mode and then get to King. And the music, which I'm sure we'll talk about, and it's just, it really is like, it speaks to that classic like arcade ideal of like, you take the simplest thing in the world, but you make it like so physically satisfying, and that combined with the music and the intensity and the speed, it's just such a good game. And it's, I mean, you know, these games didn't really change a whole lot from beginning to end. It was more like kind of like slight tweaks of the gameplay, and they would add more, mini games and stuff like that as time went on. But that first game, it starts there, and it's great right from the beginning.
Yeah, the bulk of the work is done right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. For sure. I think like right from the offset with the Virtua Tennis series in particular, they really get that kind of the point of these games, or any tennis game really, I think, that feels good is like that kind of thwack off the racket, in terms of just like when you make that contact. And it sounds like something so silly and basic, but if you look at any other kind of tennis series through the years, like Top Spin's a funny one because we all feel very similar, I think, about Top Spin, and we're very kind of we're kind of the outliers, I would say, in that case, about how we feel about Top Spin. But like Virtua Tennis,
oh, we'll get to how we feel about that.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I feel like Virtua Tennis just gets that thought. It's like when you nail that first hit, when you get the timing right for that first kind of top spin type shot, the standard shot in the game, and you just hear that noise and the way it just pings off the racket at that 60 FPS on Dreamcast, like that's arcade gaming, baby. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what it means. And
I think that's that's not the key part of it, right? It's just that it's instantly playable. You don't even know you didn't need to know much about tennis or anything about tennis. It's just a pure video game, whereas Top Spin goes down the simulation route. I always think about Sega Rally versus like V Rally, and it's just that Sega Rally is immediatly playable, whereas V Rally it like does weird shit, or it doesn't feel quite right, or something.
No, I know what you mean.
And Top Spin's always been like that to me. But where Virtua Tennis is just like, it's immediately understandable.
It feels like Sega's take.
It's got loads of. It is exactly, and it's got loads of depth to it. But immediately on the surface level, you can just play it immediately.
Yeah, it's almost.
It's got two buttons. It's got two buttons.
And a Virtua Fighter, and that's it. In that way, whereas Virtua Fighter is a 3-button game that's also very easy to grasp, difficult to master kind of thing. So it makes a lot of the one-on-one stuff, like it lays bare the mind game, so to speak, I guess. I froze because I was like, that sounds like such a dumb airport novel title. Anyway, it really just kind of removes so many of the other like links in the chain between your like instinctive brain and what you're trying to do on screen, and it's super like was gonna say natural, and then I realized I just said supernatural. But whatever. Talking is hard, and I'm not good at it. Is the thing. But yeah, you're right. It's very organic that way, and really like friendly to newcomers and dumb people like me. Pong is such a it's so core to the language of video games, and Virtua Tennis is maybe the Pongest of all of these tennis games. Arrayed across the desk in front of me, just out of frame for you guys. But yeah, I think there's something really beautiful about not just the simplicity of it, but the elegance with which they deliver that simplicity. Like, again, just from the first game all the way through the rest of them, they're just really, really, they keep that whole design ethos alive and well, and it's fantastic front to back.
Yeah, I think I took a lot of what Virtua Tennis does for granted, and I always am reminded of that when I go and I play other tennis games for 2 seconds, like Smash Court, for example. I'm playing it like Virtua Tennis, and then very quickly realizing that I can't do that. And it's not just because the game speed is different, and it's not just because maybe they have like a third button, and so later Virtua Tennis they would have 3 buttons, but yeah, it's just the way that you move in this game becomes so immediately, it's just so natural, as you were saying, that like it's just, why wouldn't every tennis game work this way, right? And even then, like it goes even further than that, because like, tennis is a sport that when you're watching it, the crowd is supposed to be silent, and except for the oohs and the ahs and stuff, right? But like Sega fucking comes in with a fucking hardcore rockin' ass soundtrack that's awesome. And it's like that's what I want. Like, why wouldn't every tennis game be like this, right? And we're gonna keep coming back to that, I guess. But God, these games do so much perfectly, that like as time goes on, like you could say that like maybe 3 or 4 is like the complete package or something like that, but all of the iterations that this franchise wound up in, or at least most of them. But like I remember I had the GBA port, which maybe we'll touch on for a second, when I was a kid, and I liked that one. I don't even think was really developed by Sega. The PSP version, which is just 2, it's called World Tour, but it's just Virtua Tennis 2. That one's great. Yeah, so they really never put a foot wrong, except I don't know. I'm gonna definitely ask when we get to 2009. I have questions about 2009 because I'm not familiar with that one, but I know Brent is. But
the only real negative thing of the first game was that it was only male players.
Right.
Yeah, that's
and they
true.
introduced the female roster with 2, and that was it. But that was what it was. Obviously that was all they could do in the time or whatever. But yeah,
I think in my head I had this idea that they didn't introduce doubles until 2, but doubles are in the first one as well. So,
I think 1 does struggle a little bit because of the 2-button control scheme as well. It just kind of limits the player options a little bit. It's not like the lob has ever been that effective anyway. And Virtua Tennis is a series, you could say, roughly. But yeah, like, I think the thing that like the first Virtua Tennis gets right off the bat is like, and I know it's memed to hell and back, this sort of phrase now, it makes you really feel like Spider-Man and that sort of shit, but it's like,
it's important for Virtua Tennis.
Yeah, it is.
Like Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. It's like, but like in all honesty, it's like the racket feels like an extension of the character you're controlling rather than like this isolated external kind of input, if that makes sense. So like, I feel like when you get really in depth in this game and you want to win that arcade mode, for example, you're paying more attention to what the other player at the other side of the court is doing rather than what your own character is doing, and that's the sign of a really good game because it has that dependable reaction to how the ball is being fed back to you and that sort of thing. And I think in other tennis games, that's where it often falls short. That reliability or understanding of how the ball actually moves between each side of the court is kind of missing. So like for me, that's where right off the bat with Virtua Tennis, like it has that, like you can put trust into how the ball is likely to react when it goes between both players and start to play more about what your opponent is doing and try to match that rather than trying to fight against the control scheme, which a lot of games later on, especially when you look at that kind of late 2000s or whatever, when games like Topspin became more popular, it starts to prioritise this idea that realism is difficulty, a very tread topic in racing games as well. Like I think tennis games get very, very guilty of that over time as well. But from the first game, it's very much a case of like, yeah, these are pro tennis players, so you don't have to make this more difficult. These guys are the GOATs, and they're on the court, they're doing their thing, and you get to control them.
I can't remember what years or what stretch it was. I think it was consistent. I experienced it playing like Madden probably in like the late 2000s or the early 2010s, but I think they used like the engine for FIFA and stuff. Do you remember there was a stretch where EA Sports games, it was like, we need to make every athlete feel like you're steering just like a bag of like water balloons or something like that. Like they need to feel really like they have all this mass and it's so heavy to lumber around. It's like, that's the exact last thing I want to feel in a tennis game. I don't care if it's like realistic or not. It's just not fun. It's not engaging. I hate that.
Even Bowser doesn't feel like that in Mario Tennis. You know?
That's true.
He can fucking run right court with no problems. Throwing shells at you and stuff.
These are professionals. They know how to do it. We just need to tell them where to go and when to do it. It's,
Yeah. I just love... Something that was interesting was... keep like kind of jumping around just because I guess we're talking about tennis games, so it's hard to just focus on Virtua Tennis 1 for a while, but like I really, even though like these games don't have any licensed championships, like that's something that stood out to me about Smash Court was it actually has the US Open, it has the Australian Open, it has the Roland Garros and all that stuff. Virtua Tennis never had that, but like they build, and it's not like they try, right? It's not like there's really any world building there, but in every game, it's like US Super Tennis, right? In every game, like they use the same names. I think the Old English Tournament or something is what they call the one that's supposed to be in London, right? Their version of Wimbledon. And I love that. Like it's just, it just cultivates like this alternate universe. And they still have real players too, which is funny. So you have this combination of like real players and then these just like kind of random championships. And then I think in Virtua Tennis 2 is when they start realizing that they can go kind of freaky arcade weird with it. And they, like in that last round, you're playing on the rooftop in Japan in 2, which is cool. The first one is actually pretty grounded, and that's something that surprised me going back to it. It has like the mini games I'm sure were weird at the time, but it doesn't, it's not like in 3 and 4 where you're like chasing chickens around the field, right? Or around the tennis court.
Playing poker and stuff.
Playing poker. Yeah, it's pretty grounded in the first one, and then they go some pretty crazy places. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's probably at that phase with the first game where it's probably still a very cutting edge game at that point. Like there isn't really a tennis sim or whatever that's like dominating on that side of things. So they're probably trying to play both sides, having that arcade fun, but also trying to attract the tennis fans in a more grounded sense, like you say. But the first game for me is still very, very good. I think it's just the nature of the series is like most sport games is fairly iterative, so you do get to the point where it's more, unless you're preparing for a podcast, would you go back to 1? That's the thing. Like, would you just...
Or 46.
Exactly.
I played the 2 Dreamcast games exclusively with arcade stick, and it just felt right.
That's
great. It's so arcadey.
And I think arcade stick.
A lot of that is just due to how natural they make the preloading of your shots feel in Virtua Tennis that no one else does quite as well.
Yep.
There are some other ones that I encountered in my travels that leaned on a similar concept or whatever, or some of these other series would kind of start to lean in that direction over time, but a lot of their competitors, both before and after and during, for lack of a better word, are really trying to focus on timing as a key component of the puzzle there, which Virtua Tennis is not, and for kind of the same reasons that Pong is not. It's about positioning and like micro strategy in the moment. more than about timing and like the physics of where in your swing the ball makes contact with the racket. Like this isn't Pro Evo / Winning 11, depending on what decade we're talking, but where it's the ball handling is like physics based as opposed to being just like glued to the front of your character like FIFA used to be. I kind of think it's not. They're not concerned with that. It's not. You're trying to get down into the nitty gritty on that stuff. It's very, very smooth, and very reactive, snappy.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you by freeing it from being just about timing, you open up the strategy aspect of the game of tennis, and you open up just all these different ways to play, and being able to, being a serve and volley guy versus, standing back, like stuff like that. When you make it less about the timing, you get to that point with an arcade game that you're supposed to get to quicker, where you can explore it. You're not just fighting just to start playing. And I think that's really important with these games, a really important aspect of these games. And that's probably why, like, I had zero experience with tennis as a kid, but I grew up loving these games pretty much immediately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's interesting what you mentioned of FIFA then, because I was just thinking, like, Virtua Striker, obviously made by Sega, was nowhere near as good as the Virtua Tennis games, and they were fine in their own weird way. They were weird games. If you guys have played Virtua Striker, they were cool, and I have it on.
No Libero Grande.
But it was just like, I guess tennis in its nature is just a simpler game to simulate than a football.
Yeah,
right. They're still tuning FC and Pro Evo after all these years, or eFootball as it's called now.
Yeah.
Whereas even arcade football, it's pretty tough.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like, because a tennis game can also be incredibly simplistic by its nature, like we're talking about, it's just Pong in a way, I guess. And I think, like you said, Andrew, it's the way the ball moves around the court and the reactivity of that. And I do think that Virtua Tennis has always had the best idea about it being more about, like you were saying, Adam, the strategy of getting in the right position to hit the ball and then making it come off, because I think that's what's interesting about sport games in general, just because Pro Evo get mentioned. Like, I'm a massive PES fan. I could probably do a podcast about that alone, but like I think a lot of games dull down this idea that pro athletes are not human. It's like the stuff that they do on the pitch, the court, wherever that be, should be something that comes across as, these guys are naturals at this. And Virtua Tennis prioritises the kind of chess game of tennis more than the you should be good enough to hit the ball here. I'm playing as Andy Roddick, that shouldn't be an issue. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's me, that's the mindset I come into a lot of games with. And I think Virtua Tennis, obviously my goat isn't in the first game, but like if you're playing as Tommy Haas or whoever, Tim Henman, of course, of course. Like, it shouldn't, like, I've always felt like it shouldn't really be too much of a factor, that if you're playing as the top dogs in any sport, it shouldn't be too much about getting over the net. It should be that, how do I beat the opponent? Yep. And I think that's where Virtua Tennis, right from the offset, it gets that right. And it's just that classic thing, we talk about it in racing sims as well, right? Some guy that's never drove a race car in his life will say this game handles too easily to be realistic. There's no way GT3 cars handle this way. And I think, like, tennis games, even with it being a niche, you see that all the time with, like, the way people talk about topspin in the comments. Oh, Virtua Tennis was for the children, topspin was for the adults, and that sort of thing. And it, like, absolutely. Yeah, I think Virtua Tennis gets the right balance for me personally.
Like F1 cars are really, really hard to drive, which is why only a few hundred people literally ever have driven one professionally.
Yeah.
Whereas, like Kaz was saying, right, famously saying, GT3 cars are actually easy to drive. They're like they're just normal cars, obviously very, very fast and high performance, but they're like a normal car. Whereas an F1 car is fucking what? It's all about downforce, and you have to keep getting really, really, really fast, otherwise, it goes really bad for you. It's like, what?
If you play, like, that's, I'm sure people listening to this, like, if you play iRacing or something like that, what you find is that, like, the road car based, like, GT cars and stuff are actually pretty easy to drive. Like, they really are. Like, once you warm the tires up, it's those, like, crazy weird downforce cars, like F1 cars or hypercars or whatever, where the car doesn't work unless you're going a certain speed and stuff like that. You have to drive them differently. And I guess that's a nice thing, is that we're finally at the point. It took a very long time to get here, but we're finally at the point where people seem to understand that. And yeah, it is kind of a through line for all kinds of sports games. It's really funny because like there have been so many times where I was like, oh, I should give Topspin a shot, and I never did. I've never played a single Topspin game. I don't know which one they even try. I know they even came out with one like a year or two ago.
Yeah,
but,
2K.
Yeah. Which is also kind of funny too, because just real quick, like the second Virtua Tennis game, and this had to be kind of explained because, this podcast spreads across like 2 different territories. But like when they released Virtua Tennis 2 in America, it was Tennis 2K2. And it never even crossed my mind that like that the 2K franchise is now obviously it's a 2K game.
Yeah.
It's their thing. So kind of funny that happened.
Because it was Virtua Tennis here. So, you said it was called Virtua Tennis 2 when you got to title screen, right? It kept the title.
No.
Nope.
It is just Tennis 2K2.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, on both the Dreamcast.
Nope. So 3 different names on 3 different platforms. None of which were Virtua Tennis 2. Wow. It was Sega Sports Tennis 2K2.
Yeah.
On Dreamcast, and then on PS2 it was Sega Sports Tennis.
Yes.
And then on PSP was Virtua Tennis World Tour.
Yeah.
I was always a bit of a sucker for the Sega Sports branding stuff. Like I did quite like that, to be fair. So like I think that's pretty cool that the US release had that, because it was always one of those little random things, like when you turn on like Sega Rally and such as well, not to go too far off topic, you'd see that logo and you'd be like, oh, what do we have here?
Yeah, but Virtua Tennis 1 in the US was Sega Sports Arcade.
Yes.
Oh.
They had a little arcade addendum there, which
like
is kind of weird.
A different division, like a sort of top corner.
Yeah, that's who it has listed as the developer in the credits as well.
I don't even know what other games were released with that label off the top of my head for a Dreamcast. I have no idea. But what's funny is I think he even said this during the MotoGP episode, but like the first baseball game they came out with on the Dreamcast was just a port of an arcade game. And then later on, they came out with the real sim one that was, I think, developed by Visual Concepts or something like that. But Sega was just whoever was willing to make a sports game. That's what they were putting out on the Dreamcast. And generally speaking, it was all pretty good. Although, you never really do hear anyone talk about Virtua Striker, do you? That one doesn't get... It doesn't get much love.
Yeah. The Sonic team unlockable was cool. That usually and recently on the old TikTok and Instagram reels, the kind of Sonic only team kind of went viral during the World Cup. It's like Eggman up front and Sonic in midfield and that sort of thing. Like I think people like that, but in terms of actually the gameplay, I never really hear anybody saying we miss Virtua Striker.
They need some hydration breaks and a Virtua Striker.
I actually, so I want to talk about 2 a little bit. Mainly I wanted to ask Andrew, did you notice any differences in the Dreamcast and the PS2 version? Because I've never played the PS2 version.
Yeah, long and short of it is I would stick with the Dreamcast one. The PS2 one has no... like lighting to speak of at all. Everything's flat. Like it's all essentially full bright. Like there are some whatever. It's that, and while it does have higher resolution textures, everything is like just really crunchy looking and weird. There's no flicker filter whatsoever, but not in the like normal field rendered way that you're used to with like Ridge Racer 5. It just means every time that the screen hitches, it looks like you just did a mosaic filter in Photoshop for a few seconds. It's like really, it's not great. It catches quite a bit and will hang up, like not mid gameplay, but during like camera transitions and stuff, it will hang here and there. It's not huge differences, but it is a notable step down, I think, next to each other.
Kind of sounds like early PS2 probs, sort of. Yeah. And I mean, also the games were developed for Naomi, right? So it would make sense
exactly,
that the Dreamcast version would be perfect,
I was
essentially.
going to say, it reminded me a lot of like F355 a little bit.
Yep.
Whereas, like the PSP version looks really, really rough because it's like a launch PSP game or whatever, but plays fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I played that one a lot back in the day. I think Virtua Tennis 2 has a couple of aspects that make it not my favorite. It does feel, at least it felt to me going back and playing all these games, that it was the most immediately unforgiving off the bat. Like the arcade mode in 2 is just like, okay, we're not even doing like, you know, the first 3 questions and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and just being gimmies, right? We're just going straight into like the, you know, you're on top of the rooftop in Tokyo or whatever, basically is how it feels. I also, while obviously having the women tennis players is fantastic, I don't like that in the world tour or in the campaign you have to run 2 different pros at the same time. It just makes it's like, just let me pick who I want to pick. I don't want to have to play the game twice. There's really no reason to do that. So that's kind of annoying. I think for those 2 reasons, it's one that I've kind of slept on over the years. I usually just, when I want a hit of the Dreamcast era, I'll go back to the first one, and then 3 is generally, you know, my favorite, or if I'm on the Vita, I'll play 4. But yeah, I tend to skip over 2.
Yeah, it's a bit strange, like the World Tour set up with the kind of dual players, because it's like it kind of obviously makes you set up both players at the start of the World Tour mode, but then the kind of management of those is totally up to the player alone, rather than maybe the actual World Tour gameplay loop having it built in as more of a specific mechanism. I don't know, maybe 1 week it is focused on male players, then second week female players, vice versa, that sort of thing. It just kind of leaves you to your own devices to kind of bring those 2 through, and it's a little bit, I wouldn't say overwhelming, it just kind of feels a bit muddled, I guess, in terms of where you should be putting your focus on that. But obviously the World Tour mode itself is fantastic as well right from the offset. It kind of gets the idea of what these Virtua Tennis games should be. Obviously, I think most people would say by 4 they really have it down pat between that kind of almost Mario Party-like structure with the kind of steps along the board compared to the weak calendar structure in 2, which I prefer the four's approach to it. But I think it's pretty good in 2, but you're trying to manage both players concurrently almost feels a bit it's not as rewarding as it could be, I think, rather than just deciding if you want to use a male or a female player. But I also understand why they did it, because it was a big deal to have the WTA players in there as well as the ATP.
I guess, yeah, the way they could have done it is they could have kind of forced you to focus on, you know, this week you're going to be managing a male player and this week you're going to be managing a female player. That would have been fine. It's just like, it's just a duplication of work. That's
it just sounds like a campaign structural organization issue. That doesn't sound like the problem is they put women in it. Like, I don't think it's. I'm not saying that you're saying that. Okay, let me back up, because I think in trying to, I think I oversimplified my oversimplification there. It's not just that there's like a separate like parallel like running league or whatever, so much as just like it sounds like it, because that's not. I'm gonna leave most of the like career conversations to you guys, because I had 46 exhibition matches to compare essentially over here, so I had, you know, a lot to do. Sure. But yeah, that's not something that is generally an issue that I guess run into with most of the other things that I briefly touched on here over this journey, because it's usually, it's just either you focus on a create a player or whatever, or what. It seems like this could have just been like reorganized slightly differently and totally swerved this issue.
Is also, again, it's made worse by the fact that like the mini games too are impossible from this. Like I can't pass the which one is it? It might be the bullseye one. There's one of them, like it took me like a half hour to get past the first level of them, and I'm just like, this is not the way that these mini games should work early in a Virtua Tennis campaign. So that also complicates things.
Yeah, you end up watching YouTube videos going, I must be doing it, and you're not.
You're not. I mean, in all the other games, it's normal and natural and the progression. You know, eventually you'll get to level 3, level 4 of a mini game. You'll be like, okay, now it's hard, and that's fine.
It's
but when it starts that way,
how do I get the international B license in Virtua Tennis 2?
yeah.
Virtua Tennis 2 in general, because you were obviously saying about the arcade mode as well, Adam. Like, you definitely feel the kind of arcade cab roots from this one, like right from the offset, because every mode is just insanely punishing, like from the offset, I feel like. So the arcade mode, like I was playing that for quite a bit yesterday actually, and like the first 3 rounds are fine, right? 2 of those fairly reasonably easy, and then you get to the semi-final and it's just like the difficulty spike is just like wow. And the other thing about Virtua Tennis 2 I find as well is it's probably the game with the most severe style differences impacting matches. So if you're up against a serve and volley type person, you damn well know it. Like, it feels like it really like cranks that up to 11 more so than the predecessor and then the successors as well afterwards. And it's just like, for example, in 2 I plays Tommy Haas quite a lot. So if you go up against like a specific type of player, it's super hard to actually get past certain matches without like kind of almost breaking the game in a sense by just basically plastering yourself to the net and just hoping that eventually you win one of those silly like rallies where it's just like boom 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 back and forth like the whole time. And then the mini games are strange. Like, some of them are fine, but then like the bullseye one you mentioned, Adam, the kicking the cans one for like movement training as well is just like right away hit 40 cans in 20 seconds or something insane like that. And there's just like a little bit of, it's a bit rough around the edges, I think, in terms of letting a player kind of find their feet in the game. It does make it fun when you eventually get a grasp on it, but at the same time, a lot of the time in this one, I feel like I had to resort to, if I don't have like the type matchup against a player, I have to basically kind of exploit mechanics a little bit to get a bit lucky. Or I think, Paul, it was you were talking about this in the Discord, if you get put up against Tim Henman, just start praying and hope that you can get a ball past him, because in this game he's certainly a lot better than he ever was in real life.
I mean, that was weird. Like, they clearly didn't reach it accurately.
He's unbelievable in Virtua Tennis 2. It's crazy. I always get him in the last match in arcade mode on top of the roof, which is just like perfect vibes, but like immediately the frustration takes over because Tim Henman's just absolutely goated in this game.
Just play it as him and that solves that issue. But yeah,
he's got nothing on King though.
Oh, God. Yeah.
King and Duke.
One of my favorite things is, I can't remember, it might have been Virtua Tennis 2, but they actually have like in one of the instruction manuals in one of the regions, it has like a bio on the characters, and it has King's likes and dislikes, and his likes are defeating professional tennis players, which I think one of you pointed out, like, isn't that true of any professional tennis player? Yeah. But yeah, that's something that's so great about these games. I love the fucking crazy, like, the whimsy of like the big boss in these games is royalty, and then in 2 it's a king and the queen. In 3 it's the king, and 4 it's a king and the duke, which I think they should have kept the queen. I think having the women's side of the game have their boss is cool too. But like, yeah, it's awesome when you play against it. It feels like a really big moment. In 3, when you're like in Prague and you're I remember as a kid when I was playing that one on 360, and me and my friend were just like for a really long time, we're just trying to make it to, because you can later on in these games, you can set it up so that if you're in arcade mode, you put the difficulty on very easy, and then you can just blast through all of the opponents until you can't basically drop a single point, I think. I think like whether you face king or duke, at least in the later games, has to do with if you drop a point or if you don't, and when you drop that point. But provide you make it to the end and you satisfy whatever the condition is, then you're playing against King or Duke, which are like they're the bosses in these games, and they're just like completely standard. Create a character. You haven't made any changes whatsoever. Just like a stock white guy with a beard or a mustache, rather.
Come on, I'm right here.
Yeah, but your beard isn't white, so it's
Yeah. But then you unlock both of them, right? I'm pretty sure.
if you beat them, if you beat them, you unlock them.
54.
If you play doubles, you face them both, right, Brend? And
Yeah, exactly. That's it. So you play them both. I think 2 has the best, like, I guess, cutscene introducing King or Duke. I think it's just King in 2, isn't it? You don't get to play Duke.
in 2, it's King and Queen.
Oh, King and Queen, yeah,
and
good
then
point.
in 3,
yeah.
it's King and Duke.
So like when you win the SPT final, if you've done well enough, it's like it pans over to the umpire's chair and it turns out like King was sitting there the whole time. Like that's like such a cool little like sizzle piece before the match starts. It's like he was there the whole time. You didn't even notice while you were destroying Tim Henman. So it's
They
I
also
like that.
got. I also love their outfits in 2 because I think in 2 they're wearing like Argyle sweaters or something. In 3 and 4 they're wearing like
very
nothing.
boring.
It's just like a white
Yeah.
shirt. But in 2 they got like the hat with the brim, and it's almost like the red trainer from Pokemon where like the brim's kind of covering his eyes, so you don't see their eyes. But it's cool.
It's really cool.
They're badass. Yeah. And that's something I love about these games. It's also true. I mean, as we talk about Smash Court, and we go into that later, it's just the same thing's true there. Namco does a lot of weird stuff with that series as well. So
licenses and stuff, yeah.
Yeah. I think
it was called Anna Kournikova in PAL territories.
I think one of them was.
One of them, yeah.
We should I think try and focus on 3 for a minute.
Yeah.
I know we've been talking for like 40 some odd minutes, but I think this is where I feel like all of us kind of agree the series really kind of was perfected. They did some weird things. Brent will get into the technical nature of the diving and what that does to the gameplay, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But like it just, I think the reason that 3 resonated with me so much is, it's 2006 when this game comes out. It feels like we're kind of past the point of Sega excellence. I mean, they're not in the hardware game anymore, right? They're not doing arcade. They're doing arcade hardware, but it's not like it was back in the Model 3 days, right? They're Model 2 days. They're not technically at like the top of the world anymore. But then Virtua Tennis 3 comes out, and I swear it felt like it was the best looking game on the platform when it came out. Like it just blew me away. And it's aged so well. And like some of the character models can be a little wonky and stuff, but like my God, like you can get by with a lot in like a tennis game, right? Because you only have to model like that court and that one perspective really and stuff. But the textures and then just how snappy everything feels, the physicality of it, the presentation is just top class. Like Virtua Tennis 3 is just such a perfect game, and I love it a lot.
Yeah. I think Virtua Tennis for me, we were discussing this kind of briefly in our Discord chat earlier. Like, this is, I don't think it's the best game. I think 4 is the best in terms of like, if you're going to recommend a game in the series, you probably go 4. But 3 just feels so fluid and it looks so fucking good. Like the presentation, like you were saying, Adam, and just in general, the way it portrays the game of tennis, as stupid as that sounds, like there's just like a nice fluidity to the whole presentation and the gameplay that kind of complements everything, just works so well. And it's like the same way that people talk about those blue sky arcade racers when Sega was at its peak. With Virtua Tennis 3, I think they kind of found that perfect balance of like, yeah, tennis can still be arcadey, but we can also kind of represent it in a sort of realistic light. And it just, like, the gameplay itself as well just feels like that perfect balance of fairness that 2 maybe... For me, 2 isn't that fair. It's a good game, but it definitely leans too far into the kind of player styles dictating the match and how it plays. And then 1 is fairly simplistic with the kind of two button controls. But 3... for me, just like it has that nice flow to it. It's very speedy and pacey as well, which if my one complaint about 4 when we get to that, it's a bit slower in pace, I would say, compared to 3. But But yeah, it's the gameplay of Free and just the soundtrack and such as well, which I've always been obsessed with the Virtua Tennis Free soundtrack because I always thought it was great anyway, and then it was Adam that actually you put me onto the fact that Propeller Arena was a thing, and then that just like cracked my brain in like some degenerate way of like, what? Like, this is a whole other game soundtrack that's been like retrofitted to Virtua Tennis and it works? Like, what?
Yeah, real quick, the canceled Dreamcast like arena plane dogfighting game Propeller Arena, which was canceled because of 9/11.
We'll remember.
Yeah, the soundtrack for that ended up in Virtua Tennis in the series, just generally speaking. Yeah, it's cool.
Looking forward to that game. It looked really cool.
It did look cool. When I found out about it, I was like, I wish that existed. But like, the soundtrack works perfectly, and like it's so funny when you listen to the original tracks, and obviously it has the vocals, and all they done for Virtua Tennis 3 was replace it with like a synth organ like for the vocals. And it's just so funny listening and comparing to the two. Gameplay wise, it does have the overpowered diving piece, which does trivialise the gameplay a little bit and can make it very easy if you start to exploit that. But when you actually hit that dive for the first time and it keeps the ball in play as a kind of type moment, that you get a bit of an excitement from seeing that for the first time, and it's a shame it's a little bit overpowered, right? But I think it definitely added a bit more of a dynamic feel to the gameplay, where like in 1 and 2 you definitely know when you've won a point. I think before, like as soon as you hit it you can kind of tell, yeah, I've nailed that will be a point. But in 3, when they added that kind of last gasp type kind of hit mechanic, it definitely changed things up, and although it can be exploited a little bit, I just love the way 3 feels, and the player lineup's so good. So it was a great era for tennis overall. But like Andy Roddick's just my guy, and it's so good seeing him in here.
So that's what I wanted to talk about a little bit too, is like you being more familiar with tennis, obviously the sport.
These guys are Virtua Tennis characters to me.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how, like, if you go back to like Tim Hedman, Tommy Haas, like back in those days, like the only real tennis player I knew were the Williams sisters. But then you get to like 3, and it feels like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like within the last, like, say 30 years, this was kind of like a golden era of tennis when you got Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, and then Roddick and Murray. Like, it just seemed like just a really solid group that I don't think there really is that in tennis right now, is there?
No, I think like you say, in 3 it was like... So it's interesting from a gameplay perspective. I did a little bit of research into this to try and find out, and basically, even though every player has their own specific style, basically there's like spirit, power and speed. So every player kind of falls into those 3 broad demographics, and they're slightly different based on those criteria. And at that time in tennis, when you look at the lineup that's in Virtua Tennis 3, it did feel like it was more of a... There was this kind of feel of what would be the right style. So this is actually just pre-Djokovic in terms of him coming to the fore and basically making it, no, you can be great at everything. But like before that point, they had like your Federer, your Flair characters, Nadal's just like fucking cracked, and like you had those guys that kind of sat in the middle of that as well, and it just like... Yeah, even without the licenses, like you're talking about earlier, Adam, it's always interesting. Like right up until 2009, there aren't any official licenses, and then they're removed again for 4. But like, every court does have a very distinct feel to it in terms of how the gameplay pans out. The characters all handle fairly differently, but not in a way where it's like, oh, if you're up against a certain style, you won't win.
Back in the day, I had for 360, that was where I played it mostly, and then Andrew turned me on to the fact that there was a PSP port, which somehow I completely missed. And it's good. It's exactly the same. The character models in that one definitely are the most cursed because it's a PSP trying to do the 360 PS3 air graphics, and that's
they look
hard.
Several generations ahead of the VT2 PSP port models, though.
Yeah, I guess. At least that's more. See, I always find this fascinating with like platforms like the PSP, where it's like you have the earlier stuff that's like trying to port PS2 games, and then you have the later stuff that's trying to port like a whole generation. It's like, which is going to be better? I tend to always assume that like anything earlier on is going to be more within the wheelhouse, but I mean, 3 still plays great. Like it's I don't know. I think what kind of not invalid, but now like I have a Vita, and that's where I play all of these games. And the Vita has an amazing port of 4, and that's actually the only platform I've ever played Virtua Tennis 4 on, and it is perfect. Okay. It's just the perfect game to have with you all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it might be my favorite sports game of all time. The Vita Virtua.
Yeah. It's good.
Like Wii bowling aside, which is fucking phenomenal, right? Let's not dick about.
Yeah,
it's an amazing. Yeah, Virtua Tennis 4 is. Yeah, I think actually might be my favorite Vita game. It's incredible.
It's not a bad choice.
I've got it on PS3. I put it on PS3. It's good. It has 3D support, which I never played because I never had a 3D TV. But,
yeah, I always wanted to try that. The PS3 version.
But yeah, I mean, this is one of those games where you go, games that actually need to look better than this.
Yeah.
It looks incredible. It's incredible, even like now because it scales well on a modern TV. But Virtua Tennis 4 on Vita, fuck me, man. It's just
the PSP and Vita trilogy. There is a part of a long,
unbelievable
history of Virtua Tennis in your pocket. Mm-hmm. How is that for a segue?
Nice.
Just really quick, we don't actually need to talk about them much, but around the time of Virtua Tennis 2. We got Virtua Tennis on the Game Boy Advance, which is a worthy. What's the word I'm looking for? Not like, I don't want to say conversion. It's more of a adaptation, I guess.
Yeah.
A demake a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's all right. It's pretty good. It's pretty light on content, but you've got some nice little like. Cursed GBA audio versions of a lot of those songs, which are awesome. And then because I know everyone is banging down my door asking for the hot deets on the N-Gage port.
There it is.
I do not have an N-Gage, but I do have a Nokia N95, which plays N-Gage games. So that's
on the N95. You have to take the battery out to change the cartridge, like you did on the N-Gage.
No,
that was a funny quirk of the hardware.
They fixed that by the second iteration of the N-Gage, even. Yeah,
they had fixed it.
It's still a very funny like.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's incredible. It was like an old computer where you had to like have that thing in the boot disk drive or something. But yeah, the N-Gage version is kind of shockingly bad by N-Gage standards. Now, bear with me. I realize what I just said.
You have to define those standards first before any of us.
But no, like Colin McRae Rally 5 on N-Gage, not horrific.
I think of a lot of N-Gage titles as kind of Tate mode PS1 games, more or less, right? Like, there are some, like there's that really good like Metal Gear Solid 2 engine game on N-Gage that runs at 60 FPS. Like there's, I'm used to some more impressive stuff on that platform, I guess. Your Tomb Raiders, your Tony's Hawk, etc. This is Game Boy Advance Virtua Tennis, but it runs really slow for some reason. That's kind of all that's worth getting into about that. It's just like, for some ridiculous reason, it's just what if the GBA game had a lot of slowdown.
I wonder, did it seem like the GBA game, like, or did it seem like its own thing?
It is slightly different in that some of the like sprites and art assets and stuff look like they might have had to be redrawn to fit like a different resolution, but it's the same game basically from what I can tell.
In vertical as opposed to horizontal.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Which would work for, a tennis game in theory, having a more vertical orientation.
Yeah.
Something Namco didn't understand until they made about 4 Smash Court games, but we'll get into that. I do want to touch on 2009 if we may, before we move off of Virtua Tennis, because that is the one I never played. It seemed kind of weird at the time. Fully developed by, that was all Sumo. I watched footage of it for the first time ever just, a couple of days ago, and kind of made me sad. I'm glad that Virtua Tennis ended on a high note with 4.
Yeah. Because
2009 just kind of feels like 3 without the budget, but then they also added a couple of things, but it reuses all the same music. The UI and everything just doesn't have it. Like it just feels kind of drained of any soul, and it seems like they were maybe trying to go, I think Brent, you said this, they wanted to do more of an annual thing, and they also, it seems like maybe wanted to make Virtua Tennis more of like a traditional sports franchise that was considered alongside all of the other professional sports annual franchises with the same level of gravity, instead of being like an arcade thing. But yeah, I don't know, it just seemed a little off to me.
You sound like a lunatic to me.
You like 2009 a lot?
No, it's not that. It's that it's like, I mean, VT3 was also Sumo. My first note was, what are we doing here? This just looks like 3 again. And I had to actually get onto the internet and find an exhaustive list of changes that someone made between 3 and 2009, because I was like, what is, the presentation's a little bit different and stuff, but I was having difficulty, at least off the bat, trying to figure out what was different about this. And I think I was trying to look for I think I was looking in the wrong places, because Paul, as he often does, lied to me for fun because he likes to hurt me, which is fair. I get it. Most people do, and they're valid to do so. But he told me that it was dropping frames all over the place. Exactly. You told me it was dropping frames all over the place. You were like, yeah, this was so bad that they had to take it back in-house after this. 2 was Hitmaker, first of all, not in-house. And then 3 was Sumo. And then 09 was Sumo. But no, the other thing that I should mention is that for all of the 360 games, I was just sitting at the desk next to me here with a CRT. So it was a VGA CRT, like a computer monitor. So I played all of the 360 games on that. So maybe being in a slightly lower res of 1280 by 1024 was saving frames or something, but I couldn't get it to drop anywhere, even when I fired off a bunch of missiles and used all my ults and stuff to hit all the particle effects. It was just not doing anything.
Maybe they
just making sure you're paying attention. No, that machine is not connected to the internet. But no, it's you guys are right. It's it felt like a weird "why does this exist" a little bit.
Yeah,
for sure. And I think maybe in the year 2009, it might have felt different because it would have been 3 years since 3 by that point.
Yeah.
And that's back when games didn't take 8 to 25 years to make. So
sure.
Yeah, been a little bit longer. However, this all got flipped upside down when I played the Wii port. Near as I can tell, this is the first game that actually shipped with Wii Motion Plus support. Because it shipped before the Wii Motion Plus adapter. It doesn't use it, really. You hold the Wii remote sideways like an NES controller, and you play it like an arcade game. There is a motion mode that is a separate thing in the menus. It's like World Tour, Exhibition, Options, whatever, Motion Play. And it's a whole other thing where you are just holding the Wii remote up and angling the racket, and the camera is right behind a largely transparent version of your player, and it plays the rest of the game for you. It's real bad. It's real bad. Don't do that.
That reminds me of when they used to do with the Sega, with the Visual Concept Sega sports games. They used for a while they were doing the first person mode Did you ever play those games? Like first-person football and first-person basketball is like the most disorienting, terrible thing you've ever experienced.
Like first-person mode in Bushido Blade.
Oh, God.
Yeah, Tekken. I remember that. Yeah, first person.
Tekken.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm just goofing because I was sitting here quietly trying to figure out what you guys are going on about this whole time. I'm like, I don't understand what I'm missing. This just seems like but I guess that kind of is what it is. It's just kind of a weird stopgap thing that feels out of place. I don't know. It's very, very strange.
I really dislike 2009. It's the only game that I just wouldn't go back to. It does feel like free, but it also feels like they kind of nullified a bit of the character and the gameplay a bit. Like, I remember specifically trying to change direction quickly. The characters will do like a weird kind of stumble run thing. Like, they kind of added like a kind of in between frames like animation step that just like it just brings the speed of the gameplay down a little bit too much for me. That kind of ticks me off in
because
a way.
GTA 4 came out in between those two games.
You can see it in like the gameplay videos and stuff for it as well. It's like if you try and flick the analog stick, for example, because I played in the PlayStation 3, I've not played the Wii one, though that's got me curious, but like on the PS3 one, it just felt a bit too slow to me overall gameplay wise. Like, it did feel as if that kind of rally heavy nature of 3 was lost a bit in 2009, and the Davis Cup license was cool, being able to kind of do the kind of international style matches under the Davis Cup banner was cool, but yeah, this is one like I never really feel that excitement to go back to it, and I'm sure like the online services for this one were killed like a year after releasing or something as well. It was a bit of a weird one in terms of its legacy or lack thereof, I guess, but it definitely did feel like an attempt at kind of annualising it, but also I'm sure that year or round about that year Top Spin 3 had just came out, so I don't know if it was also a case of like, Sumo, can you put something out there to kind of go up against it type thing. It just doesn't, it's missing that bit of secret sauce, I think.
And that's like, so to go back to your point before, Andrew, where you were like, you sound insane. To be clear, I think Sumo Digital does incredible work, and I don't lay this at their feet. I think what it feels like to me is
Adam
Sega,
Ismail, famous hater of Sumo Digital.
Hater of Sumo Digital. It feels like Sega gave it to them and said, just can you do something with this again? Can you make this different enough so we can sell another tennis game 3 years later? That's how it feels to me, and it doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah, it clearly, because like, you know, once you get to 4, and 4 was in the arcades, although I never saw it.
Later,
that feels that feels like a step, like actual changes were made, and it's a whole new thing. As much as these games can be, right? But
sure,
but so I skipped, and that's why I skipped 2009 at the time.
The joke I was trying to make there was that you guys seem to have a very clear idea of what is weird and wrong about that game, whereas in the like 40 minutes that I spent with it, sandwiched in between 1,000 other things, I was like, it's Virtua Tennis. What do you want from me?
Yeah. I mean, look, I would assume that the worst Virtua, excusing the N-Gage game, 2009 is still got to be better than most tennis games, right? Yeah. So
100%.
So
it's the high bar Virtua Tennis set.
I don't know. I got some real bangers over here. I have some special releases.
Should we talk about a little Smash Court? I don't think this will take as long as the Virtua Tennis side.
No, it will not.
I mostly just I really want to hear Brend kind of opine on this series because when we started talking about this episode, you were very anti-Smash, but you specifically were talking about the PS2 games, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just the
Yeah,
PS2
and
ones,
yeah. I came at this and I started with the PS1 games.
Mm-hmm.
I immediately had a very good feeling about it when it started up, and I'm like, this is the Rage Racer UI. That they're using everything's the same, the layout's the same, the fonts are the same. This is great.
Yeah.
The
All
music's
three of them have, like, the best
fantastic.
cover art in video game history. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm like, Namco's going to smash this. No pun intended.
Out of the court.
Lie. Yeah. But then I started playing the game, and it is horrible. The PS1 games suck. It's so disappointing. It's so incredibly disappointing. So, first of all, you have this problem, whereas we were alluding to before, there is a very shallow field of view of the court. So instead of getting like a good like vertical distance where you're seeing the horizon, like things kind of stretch with a proper, kind of angle to them, everything is very squished, which makes your ability to judge distance really hard. There's just I can't remember the last time I played a game from this era where it just felt like the things happening on screen did not pertain to my inputs in any way. Like something about making contact with the ball, it never happens when you press the button or when you expect it to. In 2, it's a little bit better on the PS1 because they add DualShock support. So that does something, but yeah, the AI is impossible from the jump. You can't preload shots, so it's all about the timing, and you can't do timing because you can't in that game. It's just really, really frustrating, and that really upset me because everything else about the game is it's just Namco from the 90s. It's perfect, right? 2 has like a crazy... What's interesting is, so Paul, you said before 2 was that was the one where they made it Anna Kournikovas Smash Court Tennis in PAL regions.
Mm-hmm.
The Japanese version of that game, which does not have Anna Kournikova or any real players, because these games they have more kind of like fake, like kind of hot shots golf
They're
kind
characters,
of vibes to them. Yeah, they're just characters. It has a whole story mode in the Japanese version. It had like pre-rendered cutscenes, and it's crazy, and you can't, unless you understand Japanese, you can't actually enjoy it. So I didn't, and that made me sad. But then I was like, okay, let me try. I will, do the wrong thing and play the PAL version of a game so I can maybe experience that. And they just completely cut it for Europe. So yeah, that's upsetting.
With some of the coolest looking menus ever as well, and the PAL version does not.
The PAL menus are really bad.
Taken from you as well.
Yeah, they're really, really bad. So yeah, all that said, the PS1 era Smash Court games didn't do anything for me, unfortunately.
Yeah, the vibes are so immaculate, and that's really all there is. I can't stay mad at these games. I can't serve. I can't judge depth at all. Making eye contact with the ball feels impossible. Moving more than 3 feet in the span of 9 minutes feels impossible. They are shockingly unwieldy and difficult to control, and even when I think I'm kind of starting to get the hang of it, that idea is quickly dashed upon the rocks of reality, and I'm thrown on my face. But yeah, 2 and 3 in particular, the music and the menus and UI are just up there in like the Ace Combat 3 territory of just like Namco at the height of their PS1 power. I highly recommend checking them out. Just don't go in looking for a good time playing digital tennis.
Yeah. The players also don't reach. That's the other thing. Yeah. So like when you swing, they stop, which is the most frustrating thing in the world.
They stop moving completely. You have to be there already before the ball is even heading that direction. It's so strange.
Yeah.
But luckily we've got 4 others to talk about.
Right. So Brent, did you eventually play these or play one of them?
Yeah, I did. Managed to at least get some kind of gameplay time on them, because obviously I was mostly speaking from that previous experience, like you were saying. So it's just to try and broaden the horizons a bit.
Yeah, it's rough. I don't know, Paul, you have any thoughts about early Smash Court games?
No, I mean, you're all right about it, but I still kind of hate them. I don't know why. Something about them.
Yeah, it's such a shame.
I love how many characters there are in it. I'll say that much.
There's a ton of characters.
There's a lot of
crazy.
choosable characters in it. Yeah, I think that is the thing that stood out to me. Just like, is it 4 or 5 lines of like 6 players or something? It's like, jeez, like they're not skimping on the content at least.
Yeah, definitely not.
I think just being a massive Namco fanboy, as we all are, I can't hate it. It's like,
right.
Fine.
Yeah.
If I could just live in the menus forever, that's basically
it. Yeah.
Maybe that game has, I didn't find it, but maybe there's a sound test mode and I could just watch the computer play against each other and then listen to the soundtrack. The soundtrack is great. 2, it's so good.
Yeah.
So
is that a cry for help? Do you?
Well, you don't just put on the Rage Racer sound test whenever, just music player, just whenever, just watch the
it's on Spotify now.
Cars just drift.
Just running the car in the garage. And
I never played the PS2 Smash Court games. Never played those.
Okay, so the PS2 games I was expecting to hate because Bren hates them. I actually think they're pretty good. I think they're good. They fixed everything. They play a lot more like Virtua Tennis, which is, I guess, to say bothersome to some people, but perfect to me. It's definitely slower for sure. There's less. It is a little bit more about timing, so you can't just preload endlessly.
right.
But there is a good, there's a good, just enough weightiness. Presentation is still fantastic. They have those real tournaments. Every single, so one is really funny because, Andrew, what's the word that designers use for just like random text, just all over the place?
It's like lorem ipsum? What do you mean? Or like
GAC? GAC, yeah. There's GAC all over this fucking game. It's just every single thing. There's like, you're in the pause screen and it's explaining to you the lore of the pause screen.
there's just
it's wild. It's
fake
cool.
scan lines, it's random vector lines all over the place. It's
Yeah, it's cool, but it's definitely Namco of the era. I took a screenshot of one of the menus. It just really made me laugh. I'll have to find when you guys talk. But I liked both of them a lot. The first one I think struck me by how little content it had. I mean, I think it has 8 real players and 4 locales. So, which seems like with a tennis game that shouldn't be like, your barrier shouldn't be content, I feel like. You know, not that it really matters that much. It just surprised me, but still good.
Yeah, I had to get used to timing. That was kind of the main thing for a version of this game that looks so much more like Virtua Tennis and not really being able to count on stuff like preloading. But once I got used to consciously not pressing the button until it was time to swing the racket, I started having a blast. And the second one was just a huge tech upgrade across the board.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 480p.
Proper
It looks
480p.
so good. Yeah.
Pro Logic 2. It's on a DVD. Wow.
A game on it.
Two looks phenomenal. Like the character models in 2 are better than I think anything the Virtua Tennis was doing at the time. It just 2 is a really, really impressive game. And yeah, I think they're pretty good. Yeah.
And then there's 3.
well, hold on. So, did Paul? Did you play either of these?
Never played Smash Court on PS2. Never. No.
All right. And Bren, did you check this out again?
Yeah, that was the one I checked out again. Yeah, and I will admit I was a bit harsh on it with this one.
Okay.
I did find it enjoyable. I still think it's like the way we praise Virtua Tennis, I guess, for like the kind of the ball physics and the being able to read the general play of the ball once it leaves the racket. I think in the Namco games, even the better ones, it just kind of lacks that level of like feel, I guess, to the gameplay for me. It does feel a bit more simplistic the way it plays, but I did look into, like, for example, like the unlockables and stuff if you play the game a bit more and that sort of thing, and it's pretty cool. Some of the stuff that you can unlock later in the game and that sort of thing with like Hayachi, I think, from Tekken, if I recall.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
like that's pretty cool. I do have time for that sort of thing, and obviously the kind of the presentation and such is good. But just kind of judging it on like, is it a tennis game I would actively seek out to play? Probably not, but I think I was a bit harsh on it when we were talking about it initially.
Yeah, I think they're fun. I found this screenshot of the first game when you're choosing a tournament, and they have a blurb for all 4 of them, and I won't read all 4 of them, but I'll give you the U.S. Open one really quick. It says, planes soar high above the skyscrapers that surround the hard course in the hustle and bustle of this big city. The soothing sounds of jazz music. Game has no soundtrack by default, by the way, when you're actually playing the game. Just want to point that out. Blend with the crowd to create an exciting atmosphere. Yeah, these games do have music, but you have to turn it on. And also, the first game only has 4 songs, which again, I feel like they could have, and they're fine. The songs are fine, but I feel like they could have given you more than 4 songs. So,
It's a CD. It's impossible.
yeah, I guess. But no, they're interesting. It's definitely, this is more what I was expecting. When I heard Namco made a tennis game that I'd never played, and I should have known that ages ago, this was more what I was expecting, and I was pretty impressed. And I think 2 I want to explore for sure a lot more, just because for all the reasons Andrew mentioned, it just looks like just at the top of any game on the PS2 you could imagine. 480p already gets me interested in the PS2 game, so
Yeah, that's cool.
yeah.
Yeah, 3 is a weird one though. The PSP game is fun, feels good. It is not a looker, but it does have those really great, goofy little Galaga and Pac-Man mini games that are fun. I don't know, for tennis game mini games. My 2 notes about the 360 version are, number 1, it canonically takes place in the strange reel, which is what I'm telling myself, because there are a bunch of like Assoluto billboards and stuff. So I'm just like, right, yes, of course.
That's cool.
So I'm just like, well, if I see a Ridge Racer branded there, I'm telling myself Smash Court Tennis 3 is also somewhere on the ground happening below Ace Combat missions.
Was that only on 360, that one?
I don't think so.
No, it was 360 and PSP.
Port?
I don't think there was a PS2 version.
Right. Yeah, I guess so.
When
I was expecting an only on thing. Oh man, I had that written down.
That is a great question.
Surely they would have done a PS3 one if it
Oh, 07,
PS3 wasn't out.
No, it was. It was 07. That's weird. Although this is that was the other thing that was, it got released again, like in another print the following year in North America at least. Originally they had the same this blue key art here with the Bandai Namco logo on the bottom, and then for whatever reason it exact same game, no other changes, but Atari, or what was wearing the corpse of Atari as a skin suit at the time, then distributed it again with different key art the following year, but same game, to my knowledge.
Yeah. I didn't play the 360 one. I played the PSP one. I liked it. It definitely has like more of a, just kind of a more grounded sort of, and like they're trying to go for something a little bit more mature vibe than like Virtua Tennis. The UI when you're actually like in the game is like very minimal, and if there was music, I didn't turn it on, so it's just very quiet, but it doesn't play as well as, Virtua Tennis from that time, but it plays all right. I think that's the biggest problem it runs into, is that like, why wouldn't I just play Virtua Tennis?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. The issue that I had with the 360 one is I could not for the life of me touch the ball without it rocketing across to like the next town over. Just for whatever reason, every single hit, a light lob from the baseline would still just go like rocketing. It was just for whatever reason. Everyone I used, everything was just getting hit way too hard and just flying way out of bounds all the time.
Yeah. I also don't really like the serving interface in these games, which is to say there isn't one. The ball goes up in the air and I think it flashes, and I don't know if I'm supposed to hit it at the moment it flashes or hold down before, and then I don't know, but it's just not.
I think you want it right after. I think it flashes at the apex, and you want to hit it right afterwards, or else it'll go out.
Yeah.
I might be mixing that up with one of these other games here.
It just doesn't feel like you're making contact. Like, even when these games were at their best, I feel like there were still a couple moments here and there where they just didn't nail just the physicality of it, the impact of it, and that's definitely true in the serving, I think, across the board.
Do we want to run back and tie a bow around VT4 before we activate my whatever we want to call this, the next 9 hours of show that you're going to cut out? Just everyone walk away while I'm monologuing at myself.
Yeah. So VT4 has a PlayStation Move support on PS3.
Sure does, buddy.
I forgot about that.
Which I didn't. I don't know if you played that, Andrew, but I didn't.
It also has Kinect support. Guess which 360 game I did not play in my office?
My God. But yes.
Help.
I mean, going back to the Vita version again, the War Tour mode, which we mentioned when we were doing our Frankenstein game, right, with the front arrow.
Yeah.
Getting your trainers stolen and injuries and all that sort of stuff. It's just. But it was a perfect Vita game. It was a game you could just do, a couple of matches and hit your sleep and keep going. It's great.
I think
it looks good. It's just amazing port.
I was amazed that I think at the time that game came out and I had a Vita, well, I completely missed that there was a Virtua Tennis 4, I think, when the console versions came out. I just wasn't really following the series at that point for some reason. And then when I got Vita and I got it, it came back into my life and I absolutely loved it. And more than anything else, I was just amazed that I didn't know Sega was still doing this. It just feel like even for 2012, it still feels out of step. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean I'm amazed that game got made in 2012.
Yeah.
Also that the World Tour mode in that is, it's the best. They did the most with it. They have the all the mini games and then new ones, but then also what they do with the sort of movement where it's almost like you're playing Life or something, Candyland. You're playing a board game with and you have these movement tokens or these movement tickets, and you have to choose where you want to go and where you want to stop and stuff like that. It actually works really well. Which is why I completely just stole it for my custom, racing game. And yeah, they nailed it. And it's one of those cases where it's if they ever brought this back, I don't want them to do anything different. I just want them to just keep doing this. You don't need to do anything differently because you perfected it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just port this to Switch or something.
Yeah.
I wish.
I think that would be great, just to have it on a modern console, because it is very much it's the best in the series, I would say, personally. I think that as much as I prefer the gameplay in 3, I do think 4 is the best all-round package, and the World Tour mode is just even to this day, it's just so easy to strike it up and have a go and see how many stars you can rack up in a single go. And obviously, like we're talking about, for me, it was also the Vita that I was mostly playing this on, and it's just that perfect handheld game feel. But my predominant platform when it first came out was the PlayStation 3, and it was still tremendous on there as well. It's great. And also, that we were talking about those weird first-person modes in games. I don't know if any of you guys mucked around with the strange modes in the Vita version, but there's a selection of, I think they're called VT apps, I believe. It's the sub menu, and they have the first person tennis mode in that game where you move the controller around. Or there's another Virtua Tennis app where you can just instantiate a little 3D version of Andy Roddick on your desk if you want via the cameras. And there's a few other little strange apps in there, but when you were talking about those weird Sega first-person arcade games of old, there's that's what immediately popped into my head was the weird Virtua Tennis 4 version, which is like impossible to play basically, but it's still pretty cool.
It has one of the best, and by that I mean worst, examples of taking a picture of your face to put on a created character in the history of video games.
Yes.
It's incredible.
I'd agree.
Really
Especially
delightful.
if you have a beard.
Oh, God.
This game does not know what to do with the beard.
Well, it does. It's just a texture on your face, right? It actually has no
It's
3D
a texture on part of my
detail.
face, and then it cuts off. So it's like a weird pin strap that's like not on part of where my head is. And it's they don't model eyes, so they just have like a sunken socket with like a weird eyeball texture over where that goes. It's very good. That's not focused. Whatever. Anyway. Yeah, this is absolutely the thing that I've played the most of throughout this entire process. And it's this Vita Slim has been going around with me more than it ever has before. I never played this until you guys started waxing poetic about it a while back. Specifically, Paul and Brendan, you guys talked about it being like maybe the best game on the platform, and I thought you were kind of exaggerating, and then it immediately was clear that you were not, and I was like, okay, well, I should probably check this out. This is God's perfect video game. I don't know what you want from me. This is,
I guess,
just fantastic.
the little elephant in it for me is like, how do you guys feel about the ultimate meter for the shots? Like, do you think that's a positive to the gameplay, or like, how do you feel about that? I'm genuinely curious.
I don't know. I have to be honest. I think I played the game for weeks or months without realizing I had the capability to do that shot. And then once I did, I was like, okay, well, this is nice to have. Because, Virtua Tennis can get really difficult. I mean, I don't know. Whether you take it or leave it, I don't really care. But
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
It really is perfect for the Vita. It's such a good, tennis games are not long. You can sit down and play this in 5 or 10 minute bursts or whatever while you're waiting for something. It can just sit on an end table next to a chair, and you can just pick it up like really quickly and easily whenever. It's really, really good for that, to the point that like the 360 and PS3 versions almost feel like I'm retroactively comparing them to the Vita port.
Yeah,
in a weird way, where it's just like, is this a good enough experience that I should, sit down in front of a television and go to the work of turning everything on to play this on a console when the Vita port is right here? Yeah, I don't know.
And something I wanted to mention real quick, and it's something I actually wanted to bring up during our conversation of the earlier games, but pertains to this one too. When in Virtua Tennis 3, I think they finally realized that like we can just have the camera always follow the player. We don't have to put them when you switch sides and you're not serving, you don't have to be on the top. That instantly makes 3 and 4 to me the best. Yeah. Because when I'm at the top of the screen, I can't fucking play. Yeah. Like it's awful. And it's not fair. Like it feels wrong. I'm glad you don't have that problem in 4, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, the inconsistency of that decision across all these different games was definitely a problem.
Which one had the dynamic camera? Was that one? I can't remember. One of them did recently when I was playing it.
They all have a camera that
did weird shit. Yeah.
They all have a camera that will closely follow you if you choose to use it. And in one, I think I did use it just because I felt like I was better with it than I was just by being top of the screen normally. But it still wasn't.
That's the only time I used it.
It was still too zoomed in. I still couldn't see enough of the court, and it still felt kind of weird and low. So it's just funny how long it took. Took these games to come around on that. So, yeah.
What I find interesting about 4 especially is that it was actually the 10th anniversary game of the series. It's pretty wild to think they apparently released 4 games within a 10-year spell.
Man.
because on the Japanese cover art it has like a logo at the top saying 10th anniversary Power Smash, so it's like pretty crazy to think that, because I felt 4 was like a massive gap from the last mainline entry. I know obviously 2009 was sandwiched in between, but kind of like you were saying, Adam, like I remember when it got announced I wasn't really expecting there to be another game. I'm not sure why, I just didn't think there would be a 4th game. I'm really glad we got it, but it's pretty crazy to think that the kind of the mainline games, I guess, were released within that 10-year time period, because it does feel as if it was a series that was around for absolutely ages, but it was actually pretty, I guess, contained within a small time frame.
That is weird, because that means Dreamcast was 10 years before, and
surely fully half of the series there.
Sure, it's 110 years. That doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's not worth talking about the motion stuff for this. It's basically the same thing as the Wii for 2009. And also, speaking of which, the Wii port of 4 is horrific to behold with one's eyes and ears. I would say that might be a bit too kind, but it's it's pretty bad. It's I don't know, man. You look at the spec sheet for a hardware the Wii is working with, and then you look at a lot of games that came out on that thing during its day and compare them to like GameCube and Xbox and PS2 games, and it's like, was this what? How did this happen?
There were a lot of really great looking games on the GameCube. It's totally possible to make a GameCube game and therefore a Wii game that looks good.
Yeah, it's so many Wii games though, especially obviously the ones that are third party that were not exclusive to that platform, just got cut down so much farther than they look like. But and again, it's probably a case where like it's application of limited resources, right? Like anything else. Like I'm sure if they had another like 6 months or a year or whatever to go in and spit shine that thing and get it running at an acceptable frame rate while still looking like it should, maybe they would have, but for a lot of these cases, I think it's just like, usually the Wii version of a 360 and PS3 game looks bad. This is just a case where it's really obvious. I don't know, exaggerated, whatever. It makes the Wii look a lot worse than it is, I guess, which is saying something.
It's interesting.
I'm sorry,
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just going to say, while Andrew's talking about all that, I'm just watching Vita gameplay on YouTube of Virtua Tennis 4 and just watching Rafael. Yeah, watching Rafa just run around the court. It just looks fucking amazing, and I just want to play this game again already.
What a game.
So good.
I was just...
Brendan, do you want to talk briefly about... Oh, sorry.
No, you go, mate. Go for it.
Oh, I was just going to ask if you wanted to talk Sega Superstars Tennis for 5 seconds.
Oh, yeah, of course. I think this was kind of hand-waved away pretty aggressively within our walled gardens of game conversation. But, Sega Superstars Tennis is pretty banging, to be honest. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Sega Superstars Tennis. Obviously, it has the kind of, as you'd expect, the kind of ultimate abilities they throw into these sort of mascot tennis games. But in terms of the actual gameplay itself, shares a lot in common with 3, I think.
Yeah, it felt less like a Sega-themed skin on Sumo's Virtua Tennis and more like a Sega-themed take, rather, on like All-Stars Racing Transformed.
Yeah.
Very much. And I think a lot of that might just be like, the way that they're doing a lot of their tech art and probably a lot of art assets and like voice actors and stuff that they're using for a lot of the, the aesthetic treatment in there. But it has a lot of that same charm to it. Everyone's ultimate ability is kind of almost exactly the same in a way. That's a little bit like, did this need to be here? I don't know. And like a lot of the courts can feel very small, I think, based on how fast you can run around in them. But
that's actually a really good point. That's kind of one of the things I always remember about the game, to be honest. Especially like the Jet Set Radio port. Especially if I remember right, it was just like genuinely like the size of your desk. Basically, it was a very strange experience to play tennis on. But I quite like this one. I had a lot of fun playing online with it back in the day. That's what I remember pretty vividly, because it had a pretty decent online community. It wasn't massive, but like the same players. And you got that kind of excitement, kind of sending a little text message on PS3 afterwards when you had a good match and that sort of thing. But I like Sega Superstars Tennis. I think that it's definitely a game of its time in that you just wouldn't get something like this anymore. Kart racing is always the de facto option, but it's pretty interesting that they decided to make it at all. But I'm guessing that was just like Sumo had probably just worked on VT 2009 at the time, would have been roughly same time period, I'm guessing, and they I guess could put their work towards that. But it's I think it's a pretty fun tennis game.
Yeah, the only modern comparable was Mario Tennis, right?
Oh yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. I didn't touch any Mario Tennis games.
No, me either.
For any of this.
I've got the Switch ones, but I didn't play them.
Time extend tradition of pretending Nintendo never existed.
I just kind of forgot about them until just now. But no, the DS port of Sega Superstars is pretty great.
Yes,
in terms
actually,
of being a
that is really
shockingly
cool.
direct.
Yeah.
Conversion of the console game for sure. The Wii version controls the way I expected Virtua Tennis on Wii to control, which is, say, you move around with the analog stick with the nunchuck and swing the Wii remote to swing the racket but it's it's a waggle instead of a button press kind of thing. And that's kind of the issue with all of these, and we'll touch on a little bit very, very briefly later, but just motion controls for tennis games in general can get really wonky because it's very difficult to tell. Well, I guess timing really is what it is, because you can't like preload a swing the way that you can with a button in Virtua Tennis.
Yeah.
And if you are going to lean on timing, a button press is a very instant thing. You know exactly when you pressed a button, whereas when you are swinging a Wii remote around, you don't really know at what point in the arc is considered contact, I guess. Like at what point in the movement of your arm the game is going to consider like as the actual point that the racket hit the ball. So you kind of just end up having to flick your wrist really fast and simulate a button press when at that point, what are we doing? But not here to relitigate all the lessons we already learned from the Wii. Yeah, do you guys have other stuff based, around what we've already gone through before I start fire hosing real quick?
I think the floor is yours.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So first thing I want to talk about is something we've already touched on a little bit, which is top spin. I grabbed 1, 2, 3, and 4. This is a weird series. I don't know what happened after 4, but at least from the ones that I messed with, they kind of started at the top and started slipping for me. So these were done as a like kind of combo between PAM and Microsoft's Salt Lake Game Studio. They kind of just set out to make a more semi version of Virtua Tennis, and I think succeeded pretty well. It's very like PGR1 coded, I think. This is the Amped and Lynx team, so it kind of makes sense how you got there. Apparently there was a PS2 port later that's a catastrophic mess. I've never touched that. Like they're trying to do a lot of weird stuff. They have that like in the zone meter, and like there are buttons for like reacting positively and negatively after every point is scored or whatever. Like they're trying to do stuff, and they're leaning really hard into like this is peak XSN era, the Xbox Sports Network. So you've got like obviously none of this stuff is running now, but there were plugins to Xbox Live that you could go like check all of your stats on a website later on a personal computer in a web browser. There were like live updates for like tournaments and stuff that we see with like Gran Turismo later on in like the PS3 era and stuff like that. A lot of that stuff was built in here in Top Spin 1 in a way that I think is really cool. It felt pretty good, I think, as its own thing that is like, competing at a like fidelity level with VT, but trying to be a very different video game that asks you to interact with it very differently. It definitely feels like it's coming from the PC side of things. And I was having fun with that one. Wasn't like wildly in love with it, but I was like, okay, I have messed with the first two off and on a little bit over the years, but it's been a very long time. And I know Paul was like, well, at least we're not playing Topspin. And I was like, I should play Topspin. So yeah, then the second one was an 05 on 360. So like, if it wasn't literally a launch game, it was very close to it. It's much lighter on content as a result, I think, but better overall on fundamentals. Until I had to start playing from the back, as in like what we were talking about earlier with VT 1 and 2.
Sure.
This has the same problem. And I just could not make contact ever at all from the back of the court facing the camera. Just, it became pretty much unplayable for me. Probably skill issue, but still, that was the experience that I had. After that, dropping things. The Wii and PS3 ports of Topspin 3, and had the... I didn't send this video clip to you guys the other night because I didn't want to spoil this, but I was trying to play Topspin 3 and the neighbor's cat kept trying to climb into my house. It was a whole thing. Whatever, we can cut that. I have been in this room too long and my brain is gone, and there are so many video games I still have to say words about. I'm sorry. Anyway, 2008, I described the Wii port as, quote, like drinking water from a dog bowl. If I thought VT looked bad on Wii, like this is so much worse. Every part of this thing is just abominable. It looks like it was made under duress. Thank God the PS3 game is like a proper video game and also looks really good and is content complete and like runs really well. It prompts you to install it to the hard drive, and I'm glad that I did because it also loads super, super fast. Yeah, it plays much more arcadely than 1 and 2 did, I think. As well on PS3. It was a proper, like, good video game that I could recommend there. It reminded me of the early days of the PS3 where it felt like a luxury device of, like a fancy, expensive thing.
Yeah.
Like, there was just something about, like, the fidelity of it that was just very, very nice. And then after that, in 11 was 4, which I grabbed the Wii and 360 ports of. I say grab because almost all of these were, like, $1 essentially at a local shop.
No way.
I'd gotten most of this stuff that I am going to run through today. I either already had or was next to free or literally free. Largely just from trading in like random old crap that I didn't want. Anyway, for Topspin 4 is at least sort of a functional video game on the Wii. This one was Pam did not touch this at all. It was just 2K check. Did I think all ports of this one. But it's the issue of the motion controls being wildly imprecise. Although the Wii port of 3, one of the most cursed parts about that is it has this weird like or like a click and drag interface for the menus. If you can't just point at a thing and press a button like every other Wii game, you have to like grab the option and like drag it across the screen, like you're weird. Moving a file into a folder or something. But like there's no indication that that's how you should interact with it. Just I don't know, as a UI designer, it made me irrationally angry. Anyway, the Wii port of 4 is like fine. The 360 one seemed obviously much better. Both of them had fantastic audio though, I noticed. Like really, really good reverb and object positional stuff going on. I was cackling to myself earlier, Adam, when you were talking about tennis in real life being so now everyone has to be like hush hush quiet on the court kind of thing, because there are a lot of different courts of varying sizes in these games and different like places, and some of them are just like neighborhood courts in random cities. And so I was just like, oh, yeah, I'm just gonna go play this like public park in Atlanta, and there's just like people heckling you and yelling stuff from the sidelines. It's great. It was very, very good. It's like there were just like little personality things in there, and like the way that the serve animation works and stuff, and like targets on the court for where the ball will go. Just everything felt much less sim heavy than 1 and 2, and a little more arcadey and a little more friendly and just a little more polished up. And yeah, I was having a good time, at least with the HD versions of those two games, whereas the Wii versions can get in the bin, I believe, as they say. Over yonder.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're running out of time here, so I'm going to start moving loosely, chronologically. Now, Adam, I don't want to terrify you here. I didn't bring anything from the 70s this time. I didn't bring any Atari 2600 games.
Wow.
I did have my rule for myself. The way that I ruled out literal Pong was it has to be explicitly a representation of tennis, and there has to be a depiction of a racket. It can't just be a rectangle that's 3 pixels long or whatever.
Okay.
So yeah, nothing from the 70s whatsoever. I didn't do that to you.
The first racket in the video game was...
Oh, you're so silly. Anyway, 1980 television for the... damn it, I've ruined that whole line. Let me retake that. I did not bring you any Atari 2600 games, but I do have an Intellivision. And in 1980, tennis for the Intellivision.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. It's it has like shadows, sort of. You know, they're fake, obviously, but also like whatever. All video game shadows are fake. It has like really fluid movement, dependably consistent controls, way ahead of everything that Atari was doing at the time. It requires far less imagination to be parsed as tennis, which I think for the time is saying something. As a home game, it's like you've got rackets and nets and people and lines and sidelines and stuff. Anyway. Well, that was big tower things that just fell down behind me. Let's see. Beyond that, tennis on the Famicom and Nintendo Entertainment System. What was this, 83 probably, I'm going to guess? Holding these up with one hand and flipping through a notebook of hastily scrawled notes with the other. 1983. I just said, yep, that's a Pulse Cart Famicom game. Okay, well, that was helpful, past Andrew. Thank you. Whatever, you've played tennis on the NES. You know how that goes. Next one I messed with was the Famicom and PC Engine ports of Family Tennis from your friends at Namco. That was largely because I've been doing that for this video that I'm doing anyway, because the Famicom port is in the Switch collection of Namcot home releases, as well as I think... No, that was Namco Classic, the golf game. Never mind. Anyway, so I have the Famicom and PC Engine ports of those that I got from Vink a while back at Japan Retro Direct. Yeah, I don't know. Both of these are much better than the PS1 Smash Court games, I think. They are perfectly cromulent. They are better than, Nintendo's from 83, which would make sense because this was 87 is when they put these out. The PC Engine version is also mostly in English and is just generally a little bit, as is the case with most PC Engine games, next to their Famicom counterparts, it's a little bit higher fidelity, sprites are a little bit more detailed, a little bit more color, stuff like that. Anyway, I'll clean these later. Let's see what else we got in here.
Super Tennis?
Simple 1500 Volume 26, The Tennis on the PlayStation.
You've jumped a generation. Did you play Super Tennis, Andrew?
Oh, right. Hey, Super Nintendo on the Super Nintendo.
It's good.
There we go. That's what it's called. Super Nintendo. Super Tennis on the Super Nintendo. An absolute timeless banger that I did not know about until
it's really good.
It got announced for NSO, and I saw a bunch of people raving about it. D. Lucina and Mark Normandin have both written about this game. It's cool. They're right. It's fantastic. It's so good.
Yeah.
Such a good like arcadey home tennis game.
There's a PAL launch title, I think. Came back.
Nice.
Cool.
It's I don't know where. It says 1991, so that would be if not launch close to it here as well, because it was a late 91 release here. Simple 1500 tennis. Where did I write that down? Let's see. Yeah, it feels weirdly pretty okay. Maybe better than Smash Court. The camera pans vertically too much, though, to the point that like you can't see where your character is by the time the ball gets back down to you, so you don't know where you are. Like on the court, which is a problem. It's still difficult to judge distance, largely because the characters are pre-rendered in 3D. Also, all of the announcing is, instead of recorded speech, it's synthesized with the same old Mac voice that they use for Fitter Happier. It's also tennis on the North American Agitek A1 release that just says tennis. Yeah, that's just the simple 1500 one.
Yeah, longtime Time Extend fans know about racing on the PS1.
Racing.
Yeah. This is tennis
Rally.
on the PS1. Yeah.
This is tennis on the PS1. And yeah, like most of those games, it's just a simple series. Speaking of simples, wait, no, hold on, we'll get to that later. Before there was Virtua Tennis on the Sega Dreamcast, there was Virtual Open Tennis on the Sega Saturn.
I was wondering about this. Yeah.
No, Sega did not make it. Imagineer made this. This is from your friends at the Quest 64 factory. It's that Imagineer.
And the MRC factory and the GT64 factory.
Yeah. Fair enough. I was going to say it's funnier to go off Quest 64, but then I remember what podcast this is, and it's like, no, never mind.
Do you fall off the court when you run left or right?
Like no, but you do run the danger of falling into space. This is a polygonal 3D tennis game, which is kind of shocking after the amount of like sprite-based and like pre-rendered games from this era that we've been looking at. This is fully polygonal and runs pretty well. It's not the best thing in the world, but like for a very early Saturn game, it was a 96 release in US over here. I think it was 95 in Japan. It's not bad. It's totally fine. The one like very silly thing about it is that every single court that you play in, the background, it's not literally a sky box, but the sky texture in the background makes it clear in no uncertain terms that the Earth is in the background and you are on the moon? Question mark? Some kind of orbiting station, a la like a Gundam colony ship? I don't know. Unclear. But you're definitely not on this planet, which is very funny to me.
Camera moves around a fuck ton. This camera's all over the goddamn place.
Oh boy, yes it does. All right. Actually, before that, I don't have a Phillips CD-i, but I do have a Mister and a copy of International Tennis Open on the Phillips CD-i. Dude, it is a digitized sprites game, a la Mortal Kombat, etc. That's on the CD-i and is shockingly playable. I realize how that sounds. It's surprisingly responsive. It's not like amazing. It's not great. It's no Super Tennis, but it is an action game that responds appropriately to your reflexes on the CD-i, which is pretty big for the CD-i. I don't know. There's also a lot of just like very silly early 90s multimedia energy all over this thing because of course there's FMV stuff everywhere. There's all kinds of low-res marble textures galore, all kinds of cheap serif fonts. It's great. What we 15 years ago called vaporwave back in the day. Okay, I'm almost through these, I promise. We're down to the last 5. And there's not much to say. Okay, so I did play one Clap Hands title with I had a copy of Hot Shots Tennis Get a Grip on PSP that I'd never played before. Oh, it's delightful. It's so cute. I mean, like, of course it is. It's a Hot Shots game, but like, there's a whole video game here in like every sense of the word. Yeah, sorry. It sounds like you have some experience with that one already, Brent.
Yeah, definitely. That was I think that got like a delayed release in Europe. I don't think it was out at the same time as other regions, but I remember picking it up on, I think it was a digital only release on the PlayStation Store, because I can remember picking it up for like £20 when it came out. And yeah, it's a pretty fun game actually. Nice little kind of RPG like kind of structure and setup to this one, collecting all the different rackets which unlock different abilities and that sort of stuff. It's it's a really fun one actually.
Yeah.
Everybody's Tennis and EU. That was the name of it.
Yes.
You can play as a Hellgast guy.
You can. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Really?
Great.
Yeah, it's a fun
Good
one.
job. So all your favorite, everyone is here. All the stars are here. All your favorite PlayStation mascots. Man, what a time to be alive. What an era. This is the other one that I think I want to end up spending some more time with just on its own, because there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of like very cute like character stuff happening. The environments look great. It's also just like a fun video game to play. It's great. All right. All right. We are firmly in the PS2 zone. Simple 2000 Volume 8, The Tennis.
Oh, they came back. They're back.
Yeah, Simple Series is all over the place, but it's this is like maybe the Simple Series-est Simple Series game ever to Simple Series. Like even by Simple 2000 standards, like on the PS2, even by early Simple Series standards on the PS2, this is pretty ropey.
They have standards?
I mean, they're 123 normal Simple 2000 games on the PS2, and then 34, I want to say, Ultimate Series. So like they made a lot of them. I don't know. At some point, you start to learn how to discern the levels of lowercase q quality between one and another. And as someone who has spent too much time with these over the years, this is definitely one of the jankiest, most broke-ass Simple Series games on the platform. Like, this is considerably more busted than the PS1 game before it was. And for 500 yen more. Disgusting. Speaking of disgusting, what if you took that game and made it generally a lot better across the board and put a lot of polish on it, but just made sure everyone's boobs are the size of their head? We have Simple 2000 Ultimate Volume 1 Love Smash. This is more like a normal Simple Series game, which is to say that it stars Rico, but also just because everyone's in their underwear half the time and because things are exploding. You have an ult meter where I made the joke earlier about trying to get the frames to drop with 2009, but you really do. It does just play an explosion, like a stock effect of a big boom cloud when you use your ult in this. It's very silly. They had a bunch of different sequels over the years that had like different like kind of aesthetic themes. Like they got all like future-y and stuff. It's presented more like a fighting game. It's got a very like Tekken 1 looking character select screen.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now.
The way that the actual like gameplay is organized is way less like televised match of professional sport and more silly fighting game. Like the environments are like military bases and like there's a Castlevania ass looking cathedral. Like it's very silly in the way that these games are. I don't know. It's generally speaking, I think close, despite being I guess the first of the Ultimate series on PS2. It's much more like the rest of your regular Simple 2000 games from later on. Okay. 2 more, and one of them I didn't play. So, flipping. This is going to be a fun edit later, I'm sure. 2002 from your friends at Magical and published by Atlas, we have Hard Hitters Tennis on the PS2. A perfectly cromulent We Have Virtua Tennis at home with really great music. It's nothing fancy, but it runs really well and is generally inoffensive. I paid 90 cents for it. I've spent 90 cents on worse video games. And then the very, very last thing to get into here is my very first PAL PS2 game, which is to say I grabbed this the other day from a local shop. They just gave it to me because I was stacking up a bunch of other random crap, and they didn't want it. This is Perfect Ace Pro Tournament Tennis 1. I think this got a sequel at some point as well, but whatever. Seems fine. I looked up some... I have a way to play this. So I looked up some gameplay footage on YouTube, and it seems fine. There you go. That's my review. It seems like it's probably fine.
Does it not have a 60 hertz option?
I don't know. I don't have a region unlocked PS2 that could play it if it did, so I couldn't say.
Okay.
Although this is how I finally realized that the giant black bar across the top of the PS2 bar PS2 box is way bigger on PAL games.
Yeah.
It's really weird. Yeah, it's strange. I have that copy of Shocks that I got when I was out in Scotland. It has that. It's weird.
Yeah, even down on the spine as well. It just kind of peeks down a little bit further. But anyway.
That is weird.
This has been PAL PlayStation 2 games with Andrew ?
All right. Well, that's a lot of games. It's pretty late. Some of us have to get to bed, and the rest of us have to eat dinner. So
it's 1:15.
I think it's time. I think it's time to shut it down. But thank you.
After that barn burner of high energy content,
it was amazing.
Thanks for checking out some tennis games with us, and who knows what we'll get up to next time.
Indeed.
Later.